is a new type of video. This is a first episode type thing of a new video called One of My Favourites. This is one of my favourites, numero one. Yeah, so basically what I'm going to do is talk about one of my favourite movies, of course, but kind of go a bit more in depth in it. First I'll just tell you the basic storyline of it and plot and everything like that. Then I'll talk about some points that I think are worth making, like good points. So basically I will have watched the movie just before doing this video and jotted down a few little points, not anything too in detail, just like little random points I want to make. And then I'll talk about why it is one of my favourite movies and all such like that. So it's kind of like a review but a bit more in depth and a bit more like it's one of my favourite movies, so I'm going to talk a bit more about it and why it's my favourite and stuff like that. So I think it'll be kind of fun and always going to be a bit different, and it'll be fun to see my favourites over the time. So hopefully there'll be many more of these videos, and if you enjoyed these videos and think that this is a cool idea, don't forget to thumbs up or just let me know that you like the idea or anything like that. But yeah, until then, oh, who knows whatever I'm saying. For now, let's get into my first favourite. It's not my number one favourite film, by the way. It's just one that I happen to have watched just last night, and it was one of my favourite movies, so this is why this is the first video. They're never going to be in a particular order, it's just random. Okay, so it is One Day. Now I think that a lot of people who maybe don't like this style of movie will probably overlook this one. So I kind of want to change your opinion about it a little bit. One Day is based on a book, and it's based on a book by David Nichols. I'm really not sure how to pronounce his last name, so I'm sorry if I completely butchered that. But yeah, it's based on a book, and I always enjoy movies based on books often because the story is obviously always going to be really good and really in depth and stuff. So I usually really like book-based movies, even if the book is most likely better. It's okay. I haven't read the book, but I might do now because I love this movie. So basically we have Anne Hathaway and Jim Stooges again. If that's not how you pronounce his name, I am sorry, who play Emma and Dexter. And basically the whole premise of this is that it takes place over 20 years on one day of their life. So basically the 15th of July is the day that it all takes place. So it's like, for example, it begins in 15th of July 1988, and that's when the whole story begins. So it'll show you that day, and then it'll be 15th of July 1989, and then so on, so on, so on. So it'll show you where they're both at in their lives throughout each day of that year, and that is it. You won't see any other days or anything else, and it's just a story of the two of them, and it's not necessarily a romantic story. I mean, at parts it is, but it's so much more because it's over 20 years. So much happens, so much changes, and it's the two of them are completely different. Dexter's kind of a like Emma, for example, is kind of intelligent and quirky and wants to be a writer, but is kind of a bit stuck at the beginning, whereas Dexter wants to be famous and rich and on TV and stuff, and is maybe a bit more not as, I don't know the word really, not caring. Like he says things to Emma and she's like, oh okay, but so the two of them kind of really contrast, which is really interesting because they both have different lives, and on some days of that year they aren't necessarily together, of course, so they're doing different things, so you see both their perspectives and different point of views and how their life changes within the 20 years but kind of still involving each other. So you never really feel lost between the years. You never think, oh wait, how has this got to this? They always give really subtle little hints that help you along, but it's done in a nice way that doesn't make you feel stupid. It's just like little subtle things that you can pick up on, and it just flows really nicely. You kind of think between a gap over the whole year you'd be a bit whatever, but no, it flows really well and works out really great. So yeah, this is honestly a great movie, and so that's kind of the storyline and what you get from it. But like I say, it's so much more than I guess it would look by the cover, a romantic type comedy or something like that. It's so much more than that. It's kind of all about life and life experiences and I don't know, how people connect over times and blah blah blah. So now let's get into some points I wanted to make about the film and stuff like that. So the first thing that is really nice, I think when you watch this movie, the first time you watch it you'll enjoy it. The second time you watch it you'll pick up on so much more. For example, the opening scene, there's two opening scenes kind of thing, and they are both scenes that are in the movie later on, which kind of become important and relevant, and then it goes to 1988, which is kind of where it all starts. But the two scenes at the beginning are really cool. Once you see the movie you'll be like, oh, or if you watch it again, I thought that was really cool. So that's really nice. And secondly, what I really love is that it's set in quite a few settings, obviously, because it's over so much time. You've got quite a few settings in France, which are really nice, and honestly, it has so many like shots that are beautiful scenery and cinematography and all great stuff like that. England, there's quite a bit of London, England, and I think there's some bits of Edinburgh as well, which is really nice. So it has some really nice kind of settings, and I like that. In a movie, I was like, ooh, this is nice. It's kind of like some places you're like, oh yeah, I'd like to be there, and it just gives a really nice vibe to the movie. I think the score also does a really good vibe to the movie. Like there's one bit that plays kind of throughout the movie, not too much noticeably, but a little bit, and it just kind of connects it all a bit, and it's just really good. I really like that. Something that I didn't like that did annoy me, and annoys me every single time, and I don't know why this annoys me, but it's like this is the only thing that really bothers me about the movie, and it's in kind of the beginning of the movie. Emma moves to London from, I feel like Edinburgh, but I'm really not sure. She moves to London anyway, and her accent kind of goes through transitional changes. She gets kind of an accent, but occasionally it'll be really strong and then it won't be, and then it's a bit iffy. I just found it a bit iffy. But then later on in the movie, the accent isn't a problem, but there's a certain point in the movie where I find the accent to be a bit iffy and a bit of a problem, and for some reason every time I watch it, it bothers me a little bit, but that's just like a little picky thing that I just notice every time, and it's just like, ooh, but it's not really a big deal, it's just a small thing. One of my favourite things about the movie is that, of course, you know, it's over 20 years and about 2 people, so over that span of time they're going to go through a lot of stuff, like a lot of hardships and times that I think loads of people will be able to relate to this movie in different ways. Like I can relate to it in one way and somebody else will be able to relate to it in another way. It is kind of an uplifting, happy movie, but obviously bad things do happen throughout the movie, as do in life, so it's kind of like, I think a lot of people would be able to relate to different things in it, so I think that's really cool. Like I think if you don't like romantic comedies, but enjoy looking at people's aspects on life, I don't know, like it's like a, what's it called? Fly on the wall, but not quite. I don't know what it's called, like a window. It's like kind of open up a window into someone's life, you're peering into it just for like a fraction of a time, and you get to see how they deal with things, and it kind of always feels really realistic. I don't think it's too, I mean, you know, oftentimes movies like this are a bit unrealistic, but this one I think sticks to realism and makes it relatable for probably most people. And now I want to talk about the soundtrack, because I love the soundtrack simply because it has got some songs in it that I really like, but it's not just necessarily that. Basically, as I've said, you know, 1988 until the 2000s, and they've done it really cleverly. When music comes on throughout each of the years, they will stick it to the time of year that song would have been out. There's no, I mean, I haven't obviously checked exactly, but pretty much they do have the songs throughout that are in that year, and they haven't put a song in that you're like, well, that wouldn't be out then. It fits really nicely, and I know it's only a tiny thing, but I really noticed it, and I thought it worked out really well, because it really set you for that year, and you knew kind of what year you were at. So for example, my favourite song in the movie is actually in 1988, and it's only in the movie for like not even very long, and it's Tracy Chapman's Talking About a Revolution. I'd never heard the song before I saw this movie, but I'd heard some of her other songs, but never this one. Anyway, so you know, it's in the movie in 1988, and it turns out that song was actually released in 1988, because I googled it, and so I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, it's really clever that I wouldn't have even thought about it. I didn't even think much about it. But later on, when it's the 90s and stuff, I could pick up on the fact that, oh, this song was out in that time. But obviously, I wasn't alive in '88, so I wouldn't have known. But I looked it up, and I thought it was really good how they've kind of done that, because it just kind of gives it a better vibe for the year. Plus, something else with the changes is that it's so good how they managed to get, for example, I think Anne Hathaway's character more so than Jim Sturges. I can never say his name. Anne Hathaway does such a great change throughout the years. If you look at her in the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, it's great how much she can change throughout the movie, and how they've done it so that she looks like I don't know, it's really, really good how it looks like she's grown up over the years. I mean, come on, if you've got a 20-year gap, you're going to have to look quite a bit different. It begins when they have graduation, and then ends, you know, 20 years after that, so she's going to look different. But I think they did a really, really good job of that, and I think that worked out really well, so I was really happy with that. And finally, one of my favourite things is definitely the last 10 minutes of the movie. Obviously I'm not going to tell you what happens in the last 10 minutes, because that would ruin the last 10 minutes of the movie. But if you watch it or if you've seen it, the last 10 minutes I really love. It does a few things in the last 10 minutes, and it just kind of makes it really special, and does a really good job of concluding the film. Like usually sometimes films kind of end like okay, but I think the ending kind of all wraps it all up perfectly, and I love it. But yeah, overall the movie is really good. It's a nice watch. I don't know how long this is. It's 1 hour 43. So, it's not too long. It's just under 2 hours. It's a little bit long for this type of movie, but it works out well because otherwise, they wouldn't be able to fit everything in. But definitely, if you enjoy, I don't know what else to relate this to really. It's not really like, if you enjoy like coming of age, this isn't really a coming of age movie, but obviously, it shows growing up and lessons learned and times gone by. And I think it's a movie for everybody. Honestly, I think you could watch this no matter who you are. If you're a big horror fan, I still would recommend this. I'm thinking now, maybe not, but no, I think you could recommend it because it's about life and living and stuff like that, so I recommend this movie. And so yeah, this is one day in their life every year. Yeah, so it's really awesome and I love it, and the reason it's one of my favourites is just because I think it's just relatable. Like you can see, like I said, I don't relate to everything in this movie, but I can imagine situations of people who have been through certain things like that, and you're like, oh, and it's nice to see how they come out of it at the end, you know what I mean? It's not just like a period of time when it's like, oh, this is happening in life and this is the end. Like, like movies usually may last for over a shorter period of time, and there's a situation and there's a problem and they overcome it, and that's that. In this one you get to see like so much past, maybe a past problem, like something happens maybe in the movie, say, and then years later go by and you get to see how they've got to here and there and how much can change over time, and it's just really great. And I just kind of love that. It kind of gives you optimism about stuff, and it always cheers me up as well. So if you're ever having a down day, this is a top movie. Yeah, until then guys, that is my thoughts on One Day. I hope you kind of enjoyed this video. I hope it wasn't too, I don't know. But I hope you'll go and watch One Day. Let me know in the comments below if you've seen One Day, or if you think you might watch it, or anything like that. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to thumbs up if you enjoyed this and want to see more favourites. Subscribe if you haven't already, or if you are a newbie, and I'll see you then. Goodbye!